This tutorial is to let you know how to set up an animation to an element. Now, I've got two elements in my canvas. So one is an image which is named ball, and the other one is a button which I've named trigger. Now, let's say I need to set up an animation to this image of the football. uh, I've got that selected, so if I check my layer panel, I know that ball is selected. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on the animations panel. Now, there are no animations already set up on this page, so if I need to set up an animation, I first need to select the element. I then choose the element that I need to associate to that element and then click on add. So I want to do a slide in, which means that the element will appear to come in from an external point of the canvas into the position that it has been set. So right now I have kept the ball at this point in the canvas. So if I do a slide in, I'm just gonna set slide in now and hit add. Now by default I have a duration of 0.5. I can go ahead and change that. I'm just gonna make it a slower animation. So to do that, I would increase the time. I'm gonna change that to 2 seconds. Now delay would mean that what is the amount of delay to the previous animation. Now, as this is the first animation on the page, it means that from the time the page loads, if there should be a delay, it needs to be keyed in out here. Otherwise, if the delay is 0 and this is the first animation, what would happen is that it would immediately start as soon as the page loads and complete the animation within the duration of 2 seconds. Now I want to choose the direction from which the ball needs to appear, so I will choose left, which is the default, and let's keep the east type as linear for now, and I hit on OK. I can go ahead and preview the animation through the canvas preview, which I can see the icon for when I hover on that specific animation. So you can see that the ball appears to have come in from the left part of the canvas. Now that looked a bit slow, so I'm just going to go ahead and change that to about 1 second. Now because it's a ball and it's coming in, to make it a bit more realistic, I want to give it a spin as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to the football is already selected, so I'm just going to go ahead and choose the next animation, which is spin. Now I'm going to add that. Now the properties for the spin animations have opened up. By default, this has a duration of 0.5 as well. I'm just going to change that to 1. Now here you see an input box which lets you choose the start value. Now there are just two values out here, one which says with previous and the other one which says after previous. What that means is that if there is a prior animation set up in the animation panel, it will derive a relationship based on what you've chosen out here. So if I say with previous, it means that both the animations, that is this spin animation as well as the slide in animation, will happen together. If I choose after previous, what would happen is that the slide in animation will happen first. Once that's completed, then this spin animation would happen. Now I want it to happen at the same time, so I will be choosing with previous, and that's the reason I've selected the same duration as 1. So what would happen is that the slide in as well as the spin will happen together in a duration of 1 second. Now delay again would be an additional information to the relation. Now so I'm saying with previous and there's no delay set, so it's at 0, so both would start at the same time. Now if I had set with previous and I put a delay of 0.5, what it means is that it needs to do it with previous. That means it needs to do the spin with the slide in, but with a delay of, let's say, about 0.5 with respect to the slide in. Okay, then I come to the properties part out here. Now again I'm just going to keep it as linear, and I will say rotate by 360, and I want it to rotate in the clockwise direction, and I want to spin through the center. That means if this like you can see when the image is selected, it's a square. So if this is the axis point, it means that the axis point is somewhere out here. So it will look like the ball is spinning around an axis at the center. If I select here, what it would mean is that it would spin around this point out here. So for this specific animation, I would choose the center one, and I hit OK, and I can preview this one as well. Now the preview, what it does is it previews a single animation. So it is not previewing the entire animation as it's set up, it is previewing individual animations on the canvas. Now to see the actual animation that's been set up between both, what would happen is that I would go ahead and save the ad first, and once I've saved the ad, I'll just go ahead and hit on the preview button. Alright, now you can see that there is a delay, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and remove that delay. So you can see that the spin and the slide in happen at the same time. So that's the way you set up an animation. Now another thing that's related to animation is that you can set it up on a trigger. So what I can do is I can go ahead, and what I want to happen is that instead of the animation to start when the page loads, I want the animation to start only when this button, which is called trigger, is clicked. So what I'm going to do is I've just gone ahead, I'm just going to start this again. So we have both these animations. I'm just going to open the property of the first one, which is a slide in. Now instead of choosing a delay with respect to the page load, I wish to change this to starts when. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to set up a relationship out here. So I'm saying that instead of starting on the page load, I want the animation to happen when button, which is this button out here, is clicked. Alright, and I'm not changing any of the other properties, and I'm just going to hit OK. Now if I preview this, you can see that as soon as the page loads, no animation has happened. I'm just going to click on this trigger button, and you can see that the animations has happened post the trigger. So that's how you set up an animation with the trigger.